I think at one time or another we've all questioned as to whether all that we see and are experiencing in our world has some sort of a rational plan behind it, because we understand now that both the Republican and the Democratic Party in our country are basically run by the same people. The same money finances both sides. We now know, of course, through the work of many historians who have spent their life working on research to show us that both sides of world conflicts have always been financed by the same people. And as I've said before, there seems to be a method to the madness going on in the world. We know, of course, that we cannot depend on our leaders. Our leaders are misleaders. There is a science that they're following. They have their own agenda, and it doesn't include you. When we understand that, then we look at universities and schools, government-financed institutions of education, and see the kind of students and the kind of education that's being turned out by these government-financed schools. Logic will tell you that if what is being turned out in those schools was not in accord with what the state and the federal government wanted, then it would change it. The bottom line is that the government is getting what they have ordered. They're getting what they have paid for. They do not want your children to be educated. They do not want you to think too much. That is why our country and our world has become so proliferated with entertainments, mass media, game shows, television shows, amusement parks, drugs, alcohol, and every kind of entertainment to keep the human mind entertained, so that you don't get in the way of important people by doing too much thinking. You had better wake up and understand that there are people who are guiding your life and you don't even know it. And all American citizens, I think, have suspected something like this is going on. But we're all too busy trying to stay alive and live our lives. And after all, what can one person do about it? One person can do nothing, but a nation educated can do much. Those who would not want to hear this are in denial. But as a teacher, I'm asking only to hear what I have to say. If you understand that the Bible is nothing more than a retelling of astrology and the astrological zodiac, then you understand why it is that all the crucified saviors were in fact nothing more than personifications of the sun. And of course that list goes on indefinitely back into ancient history. All races, creeds, colors, and movements have always personified their gods as the sun. You should always be aware of any authority, institution, government, church, religion. Anyone who is in position of any authority that tells you that you should not read something in particular, or you should not look at a set of facts or a particular book, because usually anyone in authority who doesn't want you to read something in particular must have something to hide. Because the intellectual mind of the human being cannot grow if it is not allowed to look at all of the facts. We are told by Christianity that we're not to have anything to do with astrology, because that is evil and of the devil. Until we begin to look at the Old Testament with an academic eye, and not being swayed by religious conviction, but let's look at the actual Old Testament in the language that it was written in. And we're going to find that the Old Testament, like the New Testament, is nothing more than the entire story of the zodiac. It's really rather simple once you understand the story.